Has any writer ever been as informally impenetrable as Thomas Pynchon? I've now read every one of the 8 novels in the bibliography of one of the 4 authors deemed the greatest of his generation by Harold Bloom, the others being Cormac McCarthy, Don DeLillo, and the recently deceased Philip Roth, and all I can say is I don't know what to say. Certainly there's a part of me that finds Pynchon an inspiration. As a creative writer and aspiring author, as one whose writing style has been occasionally accused of over-elaboration, Pynchon gives me hope. Hope because he reminds me that there are some people who read simply for the pleasure of letting their eyes digest the words on the page. The more unusual, the better. He's an embodiment of the power of imagination. His breadth of knowledge and the ambition of his storytelling is almost beyond comprehending. Where Pynchon is not so beyond comprehending is his fusing of prose and themes, the crucial welding of style to subject matter that is crucial to the success of all writing. Like his college professor and literary influence Vladimir Nabokov, Pynchon delights in sentences that are simultaneously economical and elaborate, minimalist and comfortably extended, trickling along like a river for their own sake, as it were. But having recently finished reading Nabokov's classic Pale Fire, I find myself understanding better than before what I find so incongruent in Pynchon. You see, where Nabokov was a poet, a prose poet, you might say, Pynchon well deserves the label bestowed on him by L.E. Sisman, a mathematician of prose. That is to say, Pynchon constructs his books in the way a mechanic constructs a car, one piece at a time, each piece an intricate work of the imagination, more elegant on its own than as part of the utilitarian whole, the finished product. To finish a Pynchon novel is generally to sit for a while wondering what the hell it was all about. Rather like the experience of looking at a brand new car, technically impressive in such a way as to be a central part of the human experience, and deservedly so. And yet a small nagging voice keeps asking, what's the big deal? This is particularly true of Pynchon's longest novels, the epics Against the Day and Mason and Dixon, both of which do not so much move like rivers to a grand conclusion in the ocean as dry up in a sense of anticlimax long before the natural end. Pynchon invests so much effort in style, in imagination, in the concept of a vast novel sprawling across history and humanity, that the actual human dimension ends up marginalized down to a largely theoretical sliver. As for Pynchon's shorter works, the sense of incompleteness is heightened by the lesser length, completing the impression of a race car endlessly spinning its wheels, all fueled up with no place to go. The only exception to this general impression of an inflated reputation, in my opinion, is Gravity's Rainbow. Though it suffers from some of the same flaws as Pynchon's other works, it is the one book in Pynchon's bibliography that feels complete, in my opinion, precisely because it tells a story that we understand from the first page could never possibly feel complete, whose central theme, in fact, is the unknowability at the heart of the human experience. An encyclopedic historical epic cannot afford to labor under the misapprehension that human events can be contained in a novel of any length. Pynchon seems to have forgotten this in his later long novels, where the later epics are demeaned by a jarring discontinuity in tones, the author's characteristic humor clashing uncomfortably with the serious subject matter. Gravity's Rainbow is made readable only by the persistency of its black humor, the raw, throbbing humanity that pulses in every page, flayed bare by the visceral grimness at the center of the events it depicts, namely the closing stages of World War II and the Allied occupation of Germany, a story which can never be contained in any work, and which is therefore a perfect fit for Pynchon's natural open-endedness. So there you have it, my assessment of Thomas Pynchon, and if you're not sure quite what to think, then you know exactly how I feel. Thank you, be sure to like and subscribe.